Welcome back to my channel. My name is Roger. In the video today, I'm going to be looking at networking, and this, guess what? This is one of a three-part series on networking. In this video, the focus will be on, just the basics. We just getting our feet wet. So I'm going to be looking at what a network is, the basics of a network, the pros and cons of a network. We're going to be looking at different types of networks. In other videos to come, I'll be looking at topologies, looking at network devices, and of course security. All right. So also let me just add that if you are doing Cisco's CCNA or CompTIA's A+ certification or some entry-level networking course, or you may be studying information technology, you need to check this material out. All right. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. A computer network is a group of interconnected devices that are set up to share resources. Gone are the days though, when a computer network would only consist of computers and servers and printers and switches. The thing is, where we are now, a typical computer network integrates a wireless technology and also handheld devices. And there are quite a number of pluses to having a network. And before even getting to that, think about it. Think about that or those occasions when, for instance, I don't know, if you would have had an experience where you would have been offline for a while. Perhaps it may have been that the electricity went. Perhaps it may have been too that you didn't have a data plan on your smartphone, or it could have been some technical issue that affected a cell tower near to you, and so you had no cellular access for a period of time. Think about such a frightening event taking place and how it would have impaired your ability to communicate. Think about it, right? So you very well know that where we are now in the scheme of things, this very moment in time, that it is very difficult to operate, to do anything, without, having a network, to being a part of a network, and typically the internet. So a network enables us to be able to share resources. The thing with a network is that it is flexible and it affords us convenience. We would have seen this during the COVID lockdowns, when there were many of us had to be working from home. Students had to be, studying from home also. So it would have afforded us that. There is also the possibility of increased storage capacity, and this is really a plus for businesses, because now they don't have to necessarily go out and invest in a lot of physical infrastructure, storage infrastructure, that is, to facilitate their information need. They can tap into the virtual space for that. Reduce cost, and we would have seen this too, where through the same technology we're able to collaborate, so we can have virtual meetings, and so this now reduces the need to have to travel to another region, perhaps of the world, for a meeting. It can be done virtually, and even by this being possible, then of course the expenses would be reduced. Now on the downside, there's typically that security issue, right? Those security issues, and these would be things like cyber attacks. Also, the thing too is that viruses and malwares can be easily propagated over a network. A network may also be somewhat expensive to set up and to implement. Where the implementation is concerned, it can be quite a tedious process. It will also enable it often also entails training the personnel who will be using the infrastructure. For functions of a network are quite clear cut. So typically communication, sharing resources, and collaborating. Now moving on to look at the types of networks, and there are quite a few of them. Here, firstly, there is personal area network, and the acronym for that is PAN. This is a network which is created by an individual, and it involves him or her using personal devices. So you have, let us say, multiple smartphones. You connect them via, let us say, Bluetooth. It may be your earpods with your iPhone. So you link them, you connect them. That now will be forming a PAN. Or it may be other devices that you have that you connect. That connectivity will be described as a PAN. We also have, and well, a PAN can be wired and wireless, or a combination of the two. Local area network. No, this is a network which is created, and it exists in a small area, typically within a building space, office space, and it may be a combination of wired and wireless media. Metropolitan area network, the acronym for that is MAN, and this now is confined to a metropolitan area, and this is like a city. Here you have a combination of land, so you have different persons, different stakeholders. So this may be individuals, businesses, organizations, and they have their individual lands. Everybody is interconnected, and this gives you that thing you're called a MAN. The thing too, yes, is that a MAN is larger than a LAN. Then we have wide area network. Acronym for that is WAN, and this covers a wide geographical region. The connectivity typically through satellites, fiber optics, and telephone, cellular technology. A virtual private network, VPN. No, this type of network differs from the others in that this type of network is virtual. So it would run on a LAN and over the internet. The good thing about this too is that it supports end-to-end encryption, and it is really a network which would have been created specifically for enhanced security. Typically, persons who you may, for instance, you work at a particular company, you're on the outside, you need to connect to your office network for work, and that is really why this was created, so that there would have been this sterile space, this super secure space that would enable communication between the network in the office and the person on the outside. That person, as I mentioned, who is an employee but maybe working remotely. Okay, so for instance, many of us who would have been working from home during the course of the COVID-19 pandemic, connecting to our offices, to the offices network, we would connect through a VPN. As I mentioned, it's a secure channel. All right, then we have wireless local area network. That's WLAN, and this is purely wireless, and of course we'll have access points which would enable connectivity, and it uses radio frequency. And finally, there is mobile networks, and this now is created through mobile devices, and it uses radio signal. Of course, this network, it supports portability, so there's portability here. Now, just to elaborate a bit more on mobile networks, mobile network uses cellular technology, and it is full duplex, which means that there's communication in both ways at the same time. The technology here too is GSM, which is Global System Mobile Communication. And how it works is that you would have, for instance, a handset, which is your smartphone, and for it to work on the network, it needs to have a what is referred to as a SIM card. SIM is an acronym for Subscriber Identity Module. So this SIM card in the smartphone, what it would do for the communication to take place, it will actually search for the nearest cell tower. And once it finds that, it communicates with that tower. So this is how the communication process takes place. Where mobile networks is concerned, there are different generations. So we have, we'd have had early generations to where we are now. So looking at starting from 2G up to 5G, and as a matter of fact, 6G is being worked on. So even though 5G, hasn't fully hit the market, 6G is in the pipeline. But really, what is G? The G here stands for generation. So what you have here is 2 generation, 3 generation, 4 generation, 5 generation, or 5th generation, 4th generation, 3rd generation, 2nd generation. What's the generation you were born in? So it really speaks to the technology. And for each generation is actually a step up. It is an upgrade in the technology over the previous generation. The improvement here would be primarily in the bandwidth that it supports, the throughput, and the types of applications that are able to be supported on a particular type of network. So if you look, for instance, at 2G back then, which came out in 1993, was only able to support phone calls and send short messages. Where we are now, which is 5G, or we are on the brink of this, it supports high resolution video. So we're looking at things like FHD, UHD, video streaming. It also supports remote control of vehicles, robots, and medical procedures. So all of these now, are applications that can be facilitated over this type of network. 4G, which is where we are looking to exit 4G to 5G, this supports high-speed applications. So yes, we can stream online, we can watch videos online. Also, all right. And if you notice the spectrum here, it increases, and it is this now increase in the spectrum which enables these resource intense applications to be able to be run on these networks. The importance of mobile communication and technology cannot be overstated. The thing is, think about it. Think about that particular time when perhaps you were without electricity, and so your cell tower was affected, or there may have been some natural disaster and the cell tower was out and you were not able to communicate. Think about it. How did you feel? Were you disabled in terms of not being able to go on to Twitter or to use WhatsApp? Right? Or even during the COVID-19 lockdown periods, would have had an instance, I think, when some of these major players, I think WhatsApp went off the air for some time. I think it may have been about 2021 thereabout. Don't quite remember the time, but I'm sure you remember that occasion. WhatsApp went off, was down for some time. I remember that. Couldn't communicate with clients and co-workers, and it was really something. All right. So the thing is that mobile communication is really where we are now. We can't live without it. Just we're not able to operate without things like something as basic as electricity. So it provides fast communication. There is also the possibility of greater collaboration through this. Notice too that, as it relates to the World Cup football going on now in Qatar, the thing is that as a goal is scored in a matter of, it seems so instantaneous, you look at FIFA's website, you will see that information right there on your smartphone. Or a person may make a post on Twitter. A person at the stadium where the match is playing makes a post on Twitter, and you get that message almost instantaneously, and you're able to even interact with that person. So it allows for this greater collaboration and this greater community. Notice too that we're able to even communicate, collaborate with persons who normally, without this technology, would not have been able to have access to them. All right. So it provides for that. There's increased productivity and efficiency because information now can be transmitted, can be transported, can be presented to us, to our clients, to stakeholders that much faster. And yes, we would not be able to operate as efficiently as we're able to now when you look at even as it relates to commerce and logistics without mobile communication. So delivery persons, the DHL persons, the FedEx persons, the Tara personnel, delivery guys, the other delivery guys, the chicken from the chicken truck, the best dressed chicken, CB chicken, and so forth. They go to make their deliveries, and they no longer have a receipt book that they are using. What is it that they have? They have a tablet which is using some SIM card that enables them connectivity to the server back in their office, and so it provides for tracking. It provides also for integration into the company's inventory system. So there is that level of collaboration and logistics that is able to take place as a result of having mobile communication. Where wireless networks is concerned, let me just mention here that the wireless network and mobile communication is not the same. They're different. So mobile communication would take place using the cell towers. So it is cellular in nature. Whereas with wireless networks, these now would typically use your things like a router, for instance, or Bluetooth technology, or Wi-Fi. Well, Wi-Fi, the router, wireless router, would enable us to enable this technology here, which is Wi-Fi. Then there's also WiMAX. All right. So the different types of wireless networks, we have wireless personal area network, similar to what I looked at before when we looked at the different types of networks, but these are exclusively wireless. So with a wireless personal area network, it is that network which is created within one space, and it is purely wireless. The range here, 30 meters, and that would be using, for instance, Bluetooth. So when you Bluetooth your devices, when you enable Bluetooth on your devices to transfer files, you'll be creating this type of network here. Wireless local area network, this now would be that network which is confined to a building or an office space, and it is using they're using wireless fidelity, that's Wi-Fi, within that space. Now, in terms of the range is really totally situational. It is based on what it is that they're using there, what type of routers, the range of the routers, how many, where they are located. All of this would go into the matrix to determine the range that how far the signals would expand, or extend to rather. Wireless metropolitan area network. Now this would be in a city, to be within a metropolitan area network. Sorry, it will be within a metropolitan area, and the range typically is 3 to 10 kilometers. An advantage of it is that it supports non-line of sight, which means that for the devices to communicate on this network, they do not have to be directly pointing to each other to be able to communicate. Which means that even if there are buildings, even if there are trees, you may still get connection, right? Depending on the extent to which the buildings, how tall they are, and so forth. Because that can really inhibit the signals. But essentially, you do not need to have the devices, as I mentioned, in a line of sight for connectivity. And the technology used here would be WiMAX. Now, for those of us here living here in Jamaica, over the past few years, our Ministry of Technology, working with the Universal Access Fund, they have been rolling out Wi-Fi within public spaces across the island. Now, this now is that example of this type of technology. So if you are within particular spaces, you perhaps are in where is it, Port Maria. So they have in Port Maria, a lot of places across the island. But right now, on the top of my head, I can remember about Port Maria. You have Sam Sharp Square. They're in Montego Bay. Brownstone also in St. Anne, and you have other areas. Albertone in Trelawney. So these are spaces that would be served by they would have this facility, right? So once you're in those spaces, you have your Wi-Fi turned on, you're able to pick up the signal. All right, and then we have wireless wide area network, and this now will be facilitated by cellular technology using the cell towers. Now, finally, looking at some terms here: internet, extranet, and intranet. Now, these define different types of private or public networks that exist out there. So, of course, we're well familiar with the internet, which is a global network. So, the internet is really formed by thousands, millions, perhaps, of local area networks, metropolitan area networks, personal area networks, all of them coming together to form the intranet. And that gives us the World Wide Web. All right. Now the thing you know is that, and of course, the internet would or is a part of a public network. So too is extranet. So an extranet now is a network which exists within a company but is accessible to persons on the outside, but to a selected set of persons, which is not everybody who would have access to this network. What am I talking about? So you, for instance, you are with a bank and you have online banking services. Notice that you're able to access your banking information online once you sign up for online banking. And this is now would be an example of that, of an extranet. Or if you are, let's just say you are attending a particular university or college, and you are able to access particular resources from your university or your college online, but you are only able to do so because they would have provided you with particular logon credentials. So if you have, for instance, persons who are not affiliated with that entity, without those prerequisite logon credentials, they would not, or they are not able to access that university or college's resources, right? Or a particular bank's online certain information on their portal. All right, so those are examples of extranets. So they are only available, so they are available to the public, yes, but to key stakeholders. And then now we have the intranet, and the intranet now is private. So this is another network which exists in an organization, but it is only available to the persons within that space. So nobody on the outside is able to access this network. All right, so it's private, and it is only available within an organization or within the organization. And of course, these different types of networks, your intranet, your internet, and your extranet, they use internet type protocols. All right. So that's it. That concludes this segment of looking at networking. This, of course, is one of a 3-part series. Please remember to like, share, and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. Until next time, I'm Roger. Take care.